Hi, and welcome to BariAftercare, the podcast. This week on BariAftercare, our topic is dun 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 consistency, the Gotta Do Ems, and believing in your ability to succeed. I chose this topic because I got a request from a listener, and actually, it was a couple, and they asked me to do a podcast on this topic. So I'm going to read to you what they submitted. They wrote, "We've been listening to your podcasts, and since you've been requesting ideas, we came up with one. With the whole issue of yo yo dieting and failing to be able to keep weight off, it's hard to believe in yourself and that you'll ever be able to really maintain a healthy weight. So we were thinking maybe touching on the topic of self efficacy again might be helpful. We know it would be helpful for us, and we would assume to others as well." So I loved that idea. So I combined our word of the month, which is consistency, and our word of the year, which is accountability, with the great tool of the Gotta Do Ems to help you understand the connection between follow through, i.e., consistency, and maintaining that weight loss. So many people have gained weight and lost weight prior to having bariatric surgery. And so it makes some sense that people would be somewhat fearful, have some hesitation in believing that this time they're going to be able to keep that weight off. So, we're going to talk about how consistency and accountability go together along with the Gotta Do Ems. We're going to talk about why people don't follow through with the Gotta Do Ems. We're going to talk about how you increase your belief in yourself. And then some information on information. Some information on information. Wow, that was brilliant. Some information that you can take to the bank. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Boy, my brain is in overdrive here. All right, let's talk about the word of the month, consistency. And we'll talk about how that word, consistency, supports the BariAftercare program's word of the year, which is accountability. So if you're consistent or you're acting in the same way over time, being responsible for your choices, then you will have success in maintaining weight loss. So the consistency part is acting the same way over time. Being responsible for your choices, that's what accountability is. So if you're responsible and you consistently engage in the behaviors you've got to do to keep that weight off, you will be successful. We're going to get to what the problem is in this picture in just a minute. So, bottom line, if you are regularly or consistently completing what I call the Gotta Do Ems, we'll talk more about that in just a minute, then you're being accountable to yourself and working toward your goals of sustained weight loss, improved health, and having a better quality of life. So, the reason when I talk to people in the pre-surgical evaluations and I ask them, what did you do in the past to lose weight? And people will tell me all kinds of different things. A lot of times, believe it or not, and it's words people struggling with weight hate to hear. But the truth is, most of the time, people tell me they had a reduction in the amount of food they ate, which translates to a reduction in calories consumed, and they were more consistent in moving their body. So, two words that people hate are diet and exercise. And yet, what most people tell me, and I'm not making this up, is that what led to weight loss in the past were programs that involved a reduction in the amount of food that they ate, so better portion control, and an increase in exercise. So, as much as we hate diet and exercise, a lot of it does boil down to that. And of course, there's so much more because For some people, diet and exercise alone don't make much of a bit of difference because of other things, biological conditions, medications. There's a lot of things that interfere with that. And we know and we are compassionate to the fact that the disease of obesity is very complex and there are many, many factors A, that result in a person gaining weight, and B, make it difficult for people to lose weight. So I'm not saying the only answer is diet and exercise, but for most people, when they have engaged in either a medical weight loss program in the past or um, a a program, it has involved those two things along with other things. So I say, what happens that you quit doing what was working? So if this program, which included diet and exercise, was working for you, what happened that you either quit participating in the program or you regained weight after the physical program itself was over? People say, I returned to my old habits. The old habits snuck back in. In other words, I quit doing the things that I was doing when I was in the program that resulted in weight loss. Translated, I quit being consistent. I lost the consistency, and oftentimes people lose the additional accountability that they get when they're participating in an outside program. Outside programs oftentimes include accountability measures like keeping track of your food or your exercise, meeting with a coach once a week or more, weighing yourself on a regular basis, having a support system, all those things that help. But basically, most people quit doing those things. They stopped being consistent, and oftentimes it's because they no longer had that external accountability that the program provided. And there's a lot of research that will back this up, that when patients are in programs, weight loss programs, they do well. It's when they go back to being on their own that they tend to regain the weight. You've probably experienced that somewhere along your weight loss journey. So let me be very, very clear about this. If you're going to keep the weight off after your surgery, you've got to be consistent for however long it takes. And it may take weeks, months, or years. More likely, it's going to take years. You've got to remain consistent in following through with the behaviors that have become that new healthy lifestyle that everybody talks about that we want to have after weight loss surgery. Consistency over time is what leads to the creation of healthy new habits. So there's no way around it. There is no way around it. Maintaining weight loss requires consistently following through with the Gotta Do Ems. Those behaviors that research shows gets the weight off and helps you keep the weight off. So accountability, having those program people in place, having somebody to talk to every week who's expecting you, having a coach, having a therapist, having a personal trainer. Accountability improves consistency. Somebody else is going to be checking on me. Somebody else is going to be part of this process. I'm much more likely to be consistent. That's why we're focusing on the word accountability in the Complete BariAftercare program. And we're helping you with some ways to maintain that accountability. So, accountability and consistency in following through with those healthy behaviors is the only way to maintain this weight loss, regardless of how you lose the weight. So in the past, if you've lost weight but gained it back, chances are it was because lack of consistency, lack of accountability, lack of follow through, return to the old habits. All right. So the only way after surgery, it's exactly the same as with any other program you've lost weight with before. Remaining consistent to the behaviors you engaged in while you were involved in the program. Now, I have spent most of my career building classes, developing content, speaking at speaking engagements, centered around an amazing tool that I've created to help people remain consistent while improving their accountability. So, this tool is designed to help you be successful in maintaining your weight loss. And if you've been around my work for any amount of time, you know I'm talking about the Gotta Do Ems. So, the Gotta Do Ems, I'm not going to go over this here because I'll tell you why in a second. But the Gotta Do Ems is a list of behaviors that you're going to have to accept have got to be done on a consistent basis if you're going to maintain that weight loss. And here's some new news about the Gotta Do Ems. Dun, dun, dun. They've been updated. I have a brand new Gotta Do Ems 2.0. They've been updated to include both the physical behaviors that you've got to do and some emotional changes that most people need to make in order to maintain your goals. What are your goals when you go into the surgery? Oh, Dr. Stapleton, I want to get off this medicine. I want to improve my health. I want to improve my longevity. I want to have a better quality of life. And I want to keep that weight off this time. You can, if you're willing to do the work it takes. Too many people think the surgery is going to do everything for them. And it's almost sad to me in some ways. I mean, I'm so glad that the surgery gets that weight off and gets it off quickly because it gives people a lot of physical relief. It gives people a new attitude about the possibilities. It gives people the opportunity to get out there and do some things they haven't been able to do in a long, long time. So for that, I love the rapid weight loss. What scares me about the rapid weight loss is that you're going to lose the weight whether you do the Gotta Do Ems pretty much or not. Whether or not you exercise, you're going to lose that weight. And that can be dangerous because people fall into this thought process that, oh, heck, the surgery got the weight off of me. I haven't had to do a darn thing to keep this weight off. That's for a year. Talk to people who've been out of surgery 2 years, 3 years, 8 years, 15 years, 20 years, and they will tell you without hesitation that unless you develop these healthy habits, these healthy skills, these healthy behaviors, and you are consistent with them, you're going to gain that weight back. I am sad to say this is fact, friends, for almost everybody. For almost everybody. And since you're part of almost everybody, I would just take the heeding here, heed my advice, heed my warning here, and say, I'm going to engage in these behaviors from the time I decide to have surgery all the way through my pre-op education, all through that first year, that honeymoon phase, and on through the rest of my life. But that's only if you want to keep that weight off. It is 100% up to you. And if you want to test the theory, by all means, be my guest. Sadly, the truth of life is that most of us have to learn lessons the hard way, meaning we can have 15 people telling us that person is not right for you, that person is not right for you. But our denial, our ability to talk ourselves into dang near anything, we blow smoke up our rear ends so easily. We're not going to listen. It's only after things have gone south in the relationship and we're looking back at it that we go, those people might have been right. This person might not have been right for me. Well, listen when I tell you. And don't just take my word for it, for God's sake. Get out there and talk to the world of post-ops and ask them, how long did you keep your weight off after surgery without doing much of anything? Go get your own data, collect your own information. And if you think you're the one that's not going to have to do the work, more power to you. However, it's not likely going to lead to a successful maintaining of that weight loss. But if you're hard-headed and you're going to do it your way, learn your lesson that way. but you can spare yourself a whole hell of a lot of misery if you listen to other people that have been down the road before you. All right, but this new version of Gotta Do Ems 2.0, again, it's the physical behaviors that research has shown over time, years and years and years, information collected on thousands and thousands and thousands of people who have maintained their weight loss and what they do. That's what the Gotta Do Ems are in a neat little chart. So the neat little chart is checkoff list, so it adds to your accountability. And if you follow this chart and you check off your things that you're doing every day, it leads to consistency. So this tool, the Gotta Do Ems version 2.0, is designed to help you engage in the behaviors, physical and emotional, that are going to help you get that weight off and keep it off by increasing your consistency and helping with accountability, because that checkoff sheet is a form of accountability. All right. Now I'm going to say this again at the end of the podcast, but if you want to get a free copy of Gotta Do Ems version 2.0, then send me an email to info@ConnieStapletonPhD.com. That's right. I will email you a new Gotta Do Ems chart, version 2.0. So info@Connie, CONNIE, Stapleton is STAPLETON, PhD.com. Easy peasy. All right. Let's talk about why people don't follow through with the Gotta Do Ems. Why don't people who've had success by doing the things incorporated into most weight loss programs continue on? Well, there's a ton of reasons. We've talked about them in prior episodes of the podcast, but one of the biggest trouble spots for people, and the one that our listeners who wrote in asked about, is this concept of self-efficacy. And self-efficacy is believing in yourself. Do I believe that I can do this? Now, depending on your level of self-efficacy, heck yeah, I can do this. Heck yeah, I've got, years of experience doing things and following through, so you darn right. My level of self-efficacy is high. Well, you're likely going to be consistent and move in that positive direction. If your self-efficacy is low, I'm not sure, don't really think I can, well, you're probably going to move in a direction that takes you away from your goals. And there's a reason for that. Because if I believe in myself and I think, you know what? Now, I might not think it's going to be easy. I may say, oh, this is going to be a lot of work. Hello, I went through a PhD program. It's a lot of work. You've done things in your life too that have required you to do a lot of work on a daily basis. If you have had a child, you changed a lot of diapers on a consistent basis until that child was potty trained. If you have had a job for a long time, you have done things very consistently for a long time, like get your butt to work on time, or you still wouldn't have that job. So you do have experience in maintaining consistency in a lot of areas of your life. That may be a different ballgame when it comes to your self-efficacy or your belief in yourself when it comes to maintaining more weight loss, because you've struggled with it in the past, but we'll get there in just a minute. But if I struggle to believe in myself in several areas of my life, then my behavior is going to reflect that. It's not likely I'm going to follow through with the Gotta Do Ems because I don't have much belief in myself. So this issue of self-efficacy, believe it or not, is one of the things on Gotta Do Em version 2.0, because you have to develop the belief in yourself so that you can follow through with maintaining your weight loss. Let's talk about the actual psychological association. American Psychological Association definition of self-efficacy is this: self-efficacy refers to a person's belief in their own capacity, your own ability, to execute behaviors necessary to produce specific performance attainments. What the hell does that mean? Well, what that means is I believe that I can follow through with the things required to meet my goals. Well, if your goal is maintaining weight loss, it means I believe in my ability to follow through on a consistent basis with the Gotta Do Ems. So your confidence in your ability to have control over your own behavior. That's hard, especially if your track record says, you know what? I haven't done so well when it comes to maintaining weight loss. I can lose weight. Oh, yeah, buddy, I'm good at losing weight. And a lot of people tell me this. I can lose weight. I just can't keep it off. Well, if you're honest with yourself and you look back at what you were doing to lose that weight, you stopped doing. And that's why you didn't maintain the weight loss. So I think it's really wise to have a personal concern about being able to maintain the weight loss. You've heard this before, that your past behavior is a really good predictor of your future behavior. So if you struggled in the past to maintain weight loss, it makes perfectly good sense to me that you would have some doubt about, can I really do this? Meaning your self-efficacy in this area of your life might be in a little bit of trouble. We also know that there are a lot of people who get to a place in their journey where it's just like, you know what? I'm so sick of this. It might be, I'm so sick of relapsing with alcohol or drugs time after time after time. And after 6 attempts at attending AA or going to a treatment program, they finally dig in and do the work. So maybe you're at a place in your weight loss journey that you're like, ugh, I can't do this again. I am going to do whatever it is I have to do, whether that is increasing my level of accountability, hiring a coach, hiring a therapist, hiring a trainer, going to see the dietitian more often. I'm going to do whatever I have to do so that my behaviors remain consistent and I have additional accountability. That's how you're going to lead to success at whatever you want to do. So if you're trying to quit smoking, again, how many people have quit smoking the first time? I don't know what the average number of attempts is, but it's a lot. Same with alcohol and drugs. Same with doing a couch to 5K or becoming a runner. So many things, we don't succeed at them the first time. But if it's still important to us, sometimes we get to a place where I'm going to do this come hell or high water. Now, a lot of us are going to need some additional assistance because we know that left to our own devices is going to be more of a struggle than it needs to be. So I'm going to talk about some of the issues that we've mentioned in prior episodes that interfere with your self-efficacy, your belief that you can do this. Some of these things are going to stop you from getting to where you want to be in terms of maintaining your weight loss. So lack of consistency, and we talked about that. Lack of accountability. Fear of success or fear of failure, fear of the unknown, lack of discipline, not really being motivated, not having a plan, having too many goals, unclear goals, or unreasonable goals, failing to plan. Well, we talked about that just a minute ago, as in not having a plan. And perfectionism, procrastination, lacking focus, lacking autonomy, meaning I'm going to do this even if I'm doing it alone, maybe not having enough support, or struggling with shame or embarrassment, not wanting to go through that again. Or maybe you're the king or queen of making excuses. God knows, I swear I have heard them all. Maybe being a little heavier is your comfort zone. You don't intellectually want to be there, but emotionally, you're more comfortable there. Or maybe you get distracted by other things and your whole consistency with the weight loss behaviors goes out the window. Low self-esteem interferes, and of course, not believing in yourself. These are just some of the reasons that people don't follow through. So if you heard yourself in any of those reasons, or if you're like, hey, you didn't list mine. Well, for God's sake, let me know what it is. and acknowledge it to yourself, because when we get into this next topic, which is how do you increase your ability to believe in yourself? How do you increase your self-efficacy? We're going to talk about that. And remember, increasing your self-efficacy, if this is an area where you struggle, even if it's only in the area of maintaining weight loss, it's critical to improve your belief that you can maintain weight loss, because that is going to give you some of that internal motivation, that internal drive to be consistent with these gotta do 'em behaviors. And if you increase your external sources of accountability, that means getting help from others, getting over that, oh, I don't like to ask for help, but you'll give help, and you don't judge other people who ask for help. Come on, we all need help. So get over yourself in this area and ask for the help that you need. All right. So, ironically, in part, by incorporating these words of the month in BariAftercare and of the year, consistency and accountability, and using the Gotta Do Ems form, is a way to help you increase your self-efficacy. Why? Because if you're using the Gotta Do 'Em list and you're able to check off a few things every day, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be all things every day. You're just looking for more days of the week than not. So if you're able to look at your list and you're like, yeah, I got 4 check marks in a lot of these areas, then you're going to be like, oh, I can do this. I I can do this, and I know I can do this because look at that chart. I just did it. And that is how we increase our self-efficacy, by recognizing that we have done something. And if I can do it this week, there's no darn reason I can't do it next week. So as you complete the Gotta Do Ems, you're increasing your level of consistency, you're increasing your belief in yourself, and you're using an accountability measure, which is the Gotta Do Ems checklist. You are on your way to following through with being able to maintain that weight loss while improving your self-efficacy. So I'm going to give you 4 steps for how to increase your self-efficacy, which of course leads to having success in this area of your life. Maybe ask yourself, first of all, what's my problem? What are those things that have gotten in my way of following through? If you heard any of the things on the list I read just a minute ago, and you recognize that as something that you've struggled with, well, write that on a piece of paper. Give some thought to the items that I noted above. Rewind this, listen to those again, and really get clear on what interferes with your progress. What interferes with your self-efficacy or your belief in yourself? What of those things or other things that I didn't mention get in your way of following through? Because once you can identify, these are my struggles. My struggles are, I make a lot of excuses, or, I lack focus, or I don't have a plan. Well, that tells you where you need assistance, where you can get some external accountability and help. And by doing that, you can increase your consistency. But you've got to know where your struggles lie. All right. Because here's the deal. You identify the struggles, and then you've got to make a choice. You got to make a choice about what you're going to do about that. You might say, well, I'm not really going to do anything about that. Well, there's a saying for that, and it goes like this. If you always do what you always did, you always get what you always got. So if you're not going to do anything about it, you're likely to get the same results you've gotten in the past when you quit doing the things. You can be absolutely sure, take this to the bank, my friends, and listen carefully, that unless you do something different than you did in the times that didn't work for you in the past, it's almost a certainty that you're going to end up with the same results. So if you didn't maintain consistency in the past and you don't do anything to improve your consistency in the present, as in the Gotta Do Ems, then your self-doubt wins out again. And how long are you going to let that beast take charge of your life? That's another way of saying that you're going to continue to self-sabotage. So if you're not willing to do some work, to get some help, to maintain consistency, well, it's not likely that anything's going to change. Nothing changes if nothing changes. So, step one of making change is identifying the problem. Step two is, what are my options for working through this problem, working through this obstacle? How do I get over the fear of failure? How do I get through this fear of success? What do I do with this fear of the unknown? Well, first of all, there are podcast episodes that deal with all of that. And then you can start to read information online. You can start to find some podcasts that address those options. But you identify the struggle, then you identify ways to address the struggle. So, do you lack accountability? What do you need? Do you need somebody to talk with every week? Do you need somebody a couple of times a week? Do you need to hire a personal trainer so you're more accountable and following through at the gym? Do you need to get a bariatric coach who will definitely work with you week after week after week on your goals? And are you following through with your goals? And we said at the very beginning, it is no surprise, hello, spoiler alert, that people who have sources of accountability, checking up on them, following through with them, helping them overcome obstacles are going to have better results. So you're going to do what you got to do? All right. So again, first step, figure out what your problem is. Second step, figure out what your options are to work through that. And then step three, get the dang help. Get the help. And nobody can do this but you. At the risk of sounding redundant, if you're not going to get help, you're not likely to succeed. Sorry. At least in the areas where you need help. So, what can you do to get help? What are some of these options of which I speak? Well, one of them are online classes. I know there are a lot of great online classes for the bariatric community. I do one. It's called Gain While You Lose. Oh, and guess what? It starts again on March 11th. It's a 10-week class where I teach you all sorts of skills. I send you homework. I encourage you to take the homework to your therapist. Gain while you lose. What do you gain? Insight, information, education, facts, tools, tips. It starts on March 11th, and you can sign up now. Same place, Connie Stapleton, phd.com, online. Okay, so you can take classes. You can go to webinars. I do a lot of free webinars online. You can listen to podcasts. You're listening to one now. There are other good podcasts. I really recommend Dr. Susan Mitchell's Bariatric Surgery Success. There are books, there are workbooks, there are coaches, bariatric coaches, life coaches, therapists. Use your accountability tools, other people, the Gotta Do Ems sheet, and ask your friends for help. You can also attend. Sorry, guys, every time I do the podcast, I get a frog in my throat. I am so sorry. You can also attend various workshops. Speaking of which, I'm doing a live 2-day workshop in March, and it is with Kate Fuse and Tabitha Johnson. And it's going to be, like I said, 2 days on emotional eating and food addiction here in Atlanta. You can get information on that also by going to my website, ConnieStapletonPhD.com. So the fourth step is turn inward. What do I mean by turn inward? We've identified the problem, step one. In step two, we looked at options. Step three, get the help in some of those ways I mentioned above or other ways. And then step four, turn inward. Have some deep conversations with yourself. dig into questions like, what stops me from following through? What gets in my way? It's kind of identifying the problem again, but if I really want this, what do I have to do? When I really wanted that job, what did I do? What kind of help did I get? When I really wanted things to work out in my marriage, what kind of help did I get? What did I do? If you are a spiritual person or you believe in a higher power, then ask for guidance. But figure out where your deficits lie and then seek the outside help that you need. Now, here's some information that I said I would tell you that you can bank on. And I already mentioned this. But if you always do what you always did, you will always get what you always got. So again, if nothing changes, nothing changes. Saying words is one thing. Doing things is an entirely different thing. So maybe you say, oh, I've got this. Or maybe before surgery, you said, I'm ready. Really? What got you ready other than just saying that? Did you take some classes? Did you listen to some online stuff? Did you sit through some counseling? I'm committed, wholeheartedly dedicated. I will be consistent this time. I'll be accountable. No, you won't. Unless you learn some new skills. Unless you incorporate some additional support. Unless you face your fears, maybe in therapy, maybe in coaching. Unless you learn to let go of negative self-talk. Unless you learn to let go of resentments. Why? Resentments keep you stuck. So it's not just about the behavioral things to keep weight off. There's a lot of emotional work to be done too. Hence, version 2.0 of the Gotta Do Ems. So if you're going to become a person who truly and literally, consistently utilizes the Gotta Do Ems, which, by the way, absolutely will help you lose weight and maintain that healthy weight, then you have to be willing. Willingness, willingness, willingness. That's a question to ask yourself when you do the deep dive into yourself. Am I willing to dig into my issues? Am I willing to ask for help? Am I willing to do the hard work? There's nothing that's going to get you where you want besides doing the hard work. And I can say this until I am freaking blue in the face. But friends, maintaining weight loss is hard work. End of story. End of story. Are you willing to learn what you have to do so that you do follow through? It's only with added skills. It's only with added tools, added insights, added information that you're going to increase that belief in yourself. Because as you learn new skills, you follow through. This increases your self-efficacy. So you want to improve your self-efficacy, your belief in self, part of which comes from self-talk, which we've talked about so many times in the years that I've been doing the podcast. You've got to do these things so you can remain consistent in your behavior. There's no other way. In AA, they talk about people wanting to find the easier, softer way. There's no easier, softer way. There's no pill. There's no medication. There's no program. There's no surgery that is going to help you maintain your health and keep that weight off without some hard work, without some blood, sweat, and tears, my friends. So, practically speaking, you can increase your consistency by following through with the Gotta Do Ems, and by taking things a step at a time. Put the shoes on. Just put the shoes on. Tomorrow, put the shoes on and go to the mailbox. Maybe do it for a week. The next week, go some steps beyond the mailbox. Start with something you know you can do. I know I can put my shoes on. Maybe you can't. Have somebody else put your shoes on. Start with something you can do. That's how you increase your self-efficacy. Do it consistently. And give yourself credit. My gosh, we're so good at encouraging others and giving them credit for doing any little thing. But when it comes to ourselves, well, I should have done more. I shoulda, coulda, woulda, oughta. Come on, let's be kinder to ourselves. Yes, we have to do the hard work. We don't have to beat ourselves up about taking it slowly. Change the self-talk. I can do this. I will do this. This is difficult, but I'm going to set a reasonable goal and follow through. Maybe you say, you know what? I really don't feel like going to my swimming class, but I'm going to do it anyway. Maybe you say, I'm so sick of eating so much protein. But you know what? This is what it takes to maintain my weight loss. So that's what I'm going to do. Make up some mantras and use them. If it's going to be, it's up to me. The mantra I use the most is, it's what I do. It's what I do. I don't feel like exercising. Well, too bad. It's what I do. I don't feel like foregoing the cookie. Too bad. It's what I do. I want to order out with everybody else for lunch every day. Too bad. It's not what I do. That's not an option. That's another of my mantras. That's not an option for me. So you figure out what mantras will work for you and incorporate them. Okay. I'm telling you, I can't think of an episode that's had more information. This one has a lot. So if you'd like a printout or an outline of this information in this podcast, then again, email me. I will send you in worksheet form so that you can learn more about what you need specifically to increase your self-efficacy, to increase your consistency, and to utilize those Gotta Do Ems. Email me, info@ConnieStapletonPhD.com. All right, so much tonight. Let's wrap it up. Some take-home messages and then an invitation for something you can do. All right, we got to improve the self-efficacy, the belief that you can do what it takes to meet your goals. All right, that comes from doing something, even a little something, to move you in the right direction and then celebrate it. Yes, yes, yes. Good for me. Number 2, change requires change. You have to be willing to make some changes and to do some work. And you need to be willing to get help from others. That might be another change for you. The third one is use the Gotta Do Ems. It's a great tool for increasing your self-efficacy, your consistency, and it's a form of accountability. So here's some invitations for you to do. You want to encourage other people to listen to this episode. And again, if you want a copy of the Gotta Do Ems, if you want a worksheet with the information from today's episode, email me, info@ConnieStapletonPhD.com. Put specifically in there what you want. Get them both. And then to really ramp up the consistency and the accountability, join the BariAftercare program. We have new information on there every day. We've got a great team of contributors. We've got a great team of people participating. We're doing, in January, we did a 3-part online workshop series, and that is something we're going to incorporate into every month. It's not going to be 3-part, but every month we will do a workshop to help you increase your self-esteem, to help you increase your self-efficacy, to help you develop consistency and support you with accountability. So remember, we're talking about your health, my friends. This is your life. It's your health. And ultimately, it's your responsibility. This day and every single day. Now, you're not going to miss what's coming up for the rest of January. For the rest of January, I'm going to have some really incredible guests. And what we're going to do is we're going to help you take a really deep dive into one of the Gotta Do Ems. We're going to give you critical information. A lot of people don't receive this critical information. I'm not telling you the topic during the pre-surgical preparation process, and it's led to some long-term health consequences. So you may or may not have gotten some information on this, but we're going to take you a deep dive. Accurate information by professionals and some great stories from patients who have learned this lesson sometimes the hard way. But we're going to give you that additional information. We'll provide you with some additional accountability measures that are going to help you consistently follow through with this critical gotta do them, because long-term health really depends on this. So it's going to be good. I'll see you next week. Please spread the word. Info for your copy of the Gotta Do Ems version 2.0 and the worksheet from today's podcast. Thank you for spending your time with me, and I appreciate you. Bye-bye.